Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here, and I want to cover another important person in the radionic industry. And it is an industry. There are many people out there making different radionic instruments, and that's what they are. You have to learn how to play them. They are not automatic, they are not machines, depending on what someone's going to offer you. One of those out there who is been on the scene for several years now, I don't know, 5, 10 years at least, is Nick Franks, who wrote the book Radionics, 21st Century Radionics. And I'll cover that book in another lecture. I contacted Nick Franks when I obtained his book, which I don't know if it recently come out then or not, to talk to him about, what is going on there. He's a guy who's been in the industry for many years, apparently is a member of the Radionic Association, whatever that means, and is making his own instruments. He states that he got into this field because he was chronically plagued with seasonal illnesses, flus, etc., and that nothing really worked to stop him from getting it. Well, typical, of course. He started to get involved with and take many homeopathic preparations, which worked like miracles for him, and he just didn't get it. Why would this work? Now, this is what led him into the field of radionics, because homeopathy is basically a form of physical radionics, in terms of the fact that you're making a vibrational or energetic substance that you're taking using what are generally toxins. And by taking this energetic field, it goes into your body and works on a pure energy level. There is really nothing of the substance in there, which of course you're working from the energetic into the physical, which is how radionic works in general and how life works in general. Things, informational, energetic fields create all physical matter. So he then got into radionics. Apparently he was a wealthy person who had built electrical devices for the music industry. And he made quite a bit of money there and now is financially independent. I don't know if he's still selling these music industry electronics or not, but he was very much into that, doing that, made a lot of money. He then took that skill and ability of electronics and started making his own radionic machines, which he offers several. So he seemed seriously involved. He got great results from homeopathy and then decided to get into that. And of course, there's making homeopathic preparations in the traditional way, which is kind of a pain in the neck. And then there is the huge amount of data coming out of England in particular from Malcolm Ray and Bruce Copen of making homeopathic preparations free. And that means you're making them through using radionic rates. And of course, there are huge amounts of instruments produced by Malcolm Ray and his magneto-magnetic company, which ultimately took very simple, non-electric, some of them don't even have wires going from one plate to another. Started off with that using his cards, his little sigil cards, where you insert them into a machine, and this had the energy in it to then make your preparations without buying them. And if you are dealing with just vibrational, energetic information fields, you don't need the physical substance. As a matter of fact, it's stronger when you make your own. So this is what seemed to have motivated him. He does sell through his, he does make many different types of equipment, and basically this has changed over the years from what I've seen from him, and he even sold little purple type plate things, little carved in things, really kind of low level stuff for someone who's claimed that. And I got a couple of those cheap plates to see if there's anything to his tech, but really had nothing to do with him. He sells what really are Malcolm Ray units, which is based on, and he has a fair information on his website of Malcolm Ray and his system of cards and how it ultimately went into using magnetic energy to transfer and empower these Ray cards, these symbol or sigil images, by using ultimately magnets. And that's what they had in these units. The stronger the magnet, of course, the more potency there to get into. Now, I could spend hours talking about this. We're giving you ballparks here so you understand the concepts. So if you go and look at his particular units that are on his websites, they're almost identical to the old Malcolm Ray units and to Bruce Copen, who had large basic, well, you inserted a card into a machine, but his cards, Bruce Copen, used kind of like credit cards. They had a magnetic strip on the back that hold the information, which of course keys into Malcolm Ray very well, and sent the energy to a particular witness or to a person, whatever your target was. So you'd put these cards in there, you would either send it to the person directly, or you would manufacture a particular tablet where you'd put a blank tablet in there, or you would put it into a liquid such as water, which would probably be better because water holds the energetic signatures pretty good. So understanding all that, we get into these kind of realities that we are actually facing with this type of technology. So he offers a bunch of stuff. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it's basically an exact copy of Bruce Copen's type card machines, Malcolm Ray card machines. I mean, there's really nothing new here. He's got a little bit of features. He put a stick plate on things. You can make your own treatment, send it out. But I mean, it's almost identical to the system. Of course, there's something to it. And he's got 2,500 cards that Malcolm Ray already made up. Why reinvent the wheel? So, but you can see that this is what heavily influenced him. He's also got other symbolic instruments that he has, templates, big into dowsing, which of course Malcolm Ray was big into dowsing as well. One problem with his website is he also doesn't put any prices there, which I'm not really sure why. I don't like that with anybody. What does it cost? You have to contact him and ask him for prices. I find that very unprofessional. He's not going to make you a deal. Why are you contacting him for the prices? So you should be able to order something and know what the prices are without having to go through that kind of silliness. So he has several different things, but they're all basically the same. They're all these cards you insert into these things and send it out. It's not very traditional in terms of radionics at all, in terms of having banks of dials to turn or anything else. He claims with this card that he has, which is a smaller version of his large instrument, which is an actual plate, supposed to have energy in it. Well, I used these and got no results with it whatsoever. All of this is part and parcel of this kind of understanding. So, it appears, and I don't have any of his machines, it appears that his machines are well made, and they probably are since he came from this electrical instrument background, making instruments for the music industry, supposedly. So they all look well made. They look like they're in nice cabinets and they're well constructed. As he said, I don't know. I don't know of anybody that has his equipment. I've never seen it, etc. But they certainly do look that way, and it looks like he's using nice cabinets. You can treat multi-people. I don't know, what is that, the 15 here? Maximum of 8 radionic cards can be used. And of course, he's using a card system to do that, which certainly is nothing new. As I said, the card system has been in use. Malcolm Ray, I guess, was the first one. Bruce Copen picked that up. So we've had card systems like this for 30, 40 years maybe. And of course, that makes it simple instead of going in there and dialing things with everybody else hates. And of course, I'm in full agreement with making things into card. We're kind of doing the same thing ourselves of trying to avoid tuning. Now, tuning radionic instruments is very difficult, takes a lot of skill and time to do it, and takes a great sensitivity, which of course most people don't have. So all of that is part of the entire process that's going on right now for him to make these types of things. So we're working on the same type of thing. Ideally, you would insert a vibrational energetic informational field. This would then be projected to the particular target. The problem is they're using antiquated, easily interfered with magnetic energy fields, which maybe worked 50, 60 years ago with Malcolm Ray and Copen. In this day and age, it's interfered with and not strong enough. So just connecting into that didn't work well, and Malcolm Ray found this out when he made a lot of very cheap, inexpensive instruments that really didn't work well until he figured out to use strong magnets. And of course, that increased the success dramatically, but it's not enough. You must amplify and you must use photons. None of these people get it because they're really kind of backwards. Again, it doesn't seem like Nick here has done anything but copy pre-existing technologies and put a little bit of his own spin on it. He's doing a lot of dowsing, but these are the same old machines. There's nothing new about them. Now, I had a big conversation with him, or at least I exchanged emails with him for several weeks. I don't know, must have been 20, 30 emails talking about, hey, what are you into? What are you doing? I was reading his book and saying, well, okay, I'm going to read your book and find out. Well, there's nothing in his book of any value, really. I mean, it's a great introductory book. I recommend everybody get it and read it, and I'm going to have a review on that, but there's nothing new in it. It's all historical. And he said, well, it's just a basic book. Well, we don't need more basic books. So there certainly is volume 1, which is this, but what about the advanced practices, something different? But he will not share anything. He is scared shitless of making any type of statements, helping anybody, doing anything because of the British law. Now, even when you go to his website, the first thing he has on there, before you can go anywhere, which is even hard to find the pages looking for his machines, is a giant link to a disclosure agreement. He's already copping out that these are not medical tools, etc. We all know that, but he seems to be dramatically frightened. He won't say anything. He won't talk about his technology. He basically states that, everything works great, but I don't have any proof of anything. You got to work with the doctor. He said, I've worked with doctors, but they won't help you. I mean, the point is, well, of course not. There are problems there. He's involved in the typical impotent British system, like so many things, unfortunately, in Britain, which people don't understand because they think Britain and the United States are similar. Well, they're not. They're a very dictatorial group of people. The Brits come from the Germans. They are a weird group of kind of deviant people, and their laws reflect that. And of course, that's why they've been a butchering culture for most of their life, murdering and colonizing the people of the world. They don't have freedom of speech. They don't have, in America, whatsoever. And while it is so-called, quote, legal to practice radionics in England, there seems to be a major problem with that. The major problem with that is the fact that it is highly watched and regulated, supposedly. At least per Nick, who wouldn't do anything. Even talking to someone who was a, quote, fellow radionic person, no freedom of talk, no exchanging information as two radionic people talking to each other. He didn't want to say anything. He was scared to death. He was just talking to me, hoping that I would buy one of his instruments for a fairly high price that he asked, for instruments that are pretty much the same old, same old. As I said, they appear to be made well, but I've never seen his instruments anywhere from anyone. So, I don't know. His designs are the same old from Ray and Copen. There's nothing new there, even though he claims he's got something there and he's using certain images and he's got this bizarre thinking that he's got something special that cures people. Well, he is not even willing to allude to it. I said, you don't have to give me your secrets and you don't have to make any claims. The bottom line is there's zero proof that he can give on anything, yet he's in a country where it's legal. It's legal and it means nothing. So there are practitioners that, listed from the Radionic Association, which he claims to be a member of, that will treat you. You send cases to them, etc. You can contact the Radionic Association, and they'll send you to a person to handle your particular health issue, or whatever issue that may be that you want help with. So, I mean, it is legal to do that there. That technically is not legal to do in the United States. You can't treat somebody radionically if you're not a medical doctor. Some states, believe it or not, allow it. New York State is one of them. You can be a medical doctor and you can pick any treatment you want as long as it's not invasive. That's part of the medical law. But nobody's going to come out as a physician and tell you that. They will be attacked by their local, there's other doctors, etc., that you are practicing fraudulent and mythical medicine. So nobody does it because they don't want to be hassled by it. But in England, of course, there seems to be the restriction that you should be working with a doctor, even though there certainly are people that are not doing this through the Radionic Association, from what I can see. We're going to go through their process with a medical case here in the near future, and I will report back on that. Now, what does that mean? It means the fact that, of course, he has completely and totally doesn't want to share anything, doesn't want to speak. He seems to be out of touch of what's going on. He wasn't aware of that the radionic industry in the United States, and Oregon in particular, is controlled by organized crime and run by Satanists, as is known that Carl Wells is a Satanist, as the head Satanist in the United States said this is his mentor. He has a link on Carl Wells to a site run for Satanism by him, stating all the perverse things he does. Now, I have actually, they've recently taken down some of this and moved a number to California. I have the old stuff, which shows direct links to him. So the point is, he was unaware of this. He doesn't think there's enough money in it. He's really out of the loop because he's living fat and sassy in the UK and making quite a bit of money doing whatever he's doing, apparently, including the money he made before. I do tend to doubt his validity. He seems to want to be profit-based more than helping people. He's not interested in speaking with people on a freedom basis. He's not interested in exchanging information with a fellow radionic person. None of this interests him, even with the fact of I told him who I was, and of course have a history of writing books, not particularly on radionics, unfortunately, but this is coming. But the point is that it wasn't just somebody contacting him, it was a person of this. Shared nothing. His book, which I'll go into, is elementary, and there really is nothing in it for anyone except a beginner. Well, and that's of course what he wanted to write because he wants to sell his instruments, just like his radionic page and everything else. But as I said, you go there and you can't find prices. You have to contact him. What's this all about? In a lot of ways, it's very poorly done because of the fact that they are, it's just not well put together. I don't like to hunt up things for people to actually find what the cost of it is. He claims he's got these great plates that put off energy, and after all, we're just dealing with that, and they produced nothing. So a lot of this is one of these many, many problems there of the usual situation of really having no proof and not wanting to do anything. So he claims the oppression of the British Medical Association and the government there doesn't allow him to do anything. And to a large extent, this is true in terms of the law. But, everybody knows that. And this is part of what you kind of dance around as a radionic practitioner. You try and do the best you can to get around all these laws and not have the problems, because any kind of diagnosing or prescribing is obviously illegal in treating. But this is all over the world. It's not just the UK and the United States. It's everywhere. There's a certain loophole there which he is not willing to. And I didn't ask him to say he did it. I said, what proof do you have any of this works? The fact that you had a few cases or know of this or that is not good enough. It's just like the Radionic Association in general. They have nothing to show for what is now 60 years of being an association. There's nothing that they have to offer. And certainly there's nothing that Nick Frank has to offer other than very traditional radionic Malcolm Ray Bruce Copen card type machines. There's no difference there. That's what he's making. These types of tools are readily available. He's put this together in a nice fashion. As I said, I assume they're well made from what I can see from photographs, but we just don't know what kind of help and backup and what else you're going to get from it. Well, I have great doubts whether you're going to get much help and backup from this organization when you buy something. They're going to give you instructions, and that's it. They're certainly not going to talk to you in any kind of serious manner to help you manifest better. So it's unfortunate, and just as it is with this entire industry, we've ran into another dead end. Here's a guy, a member of the association, written a book, and really has nothing to say except buy my equipment. I invented it, I tested it, I know it works, you buy it. It's the same old story we got from everyone else. And he definitely seems to be out of the loop of radionic understanding. He is out of the loop of all of this technology being used by governments. He's out of the loop of the major criminal element that seems to be involved with it. Or is he? I don't know. We just don't know with anybody because they're not going to be honest with you if they're not going to open up to a degree. And I did not want secrets or him making claims, but the fact is that he can't really come up with anything, like none of them do. None of the people out there will talk about what these can do and the capacities of them, and will communicate on an honest basis. And particularly with someone who's in the industry, as I've been for many, many years, the fact is that he doesn't care. And he's obviously not seeking to commune with other people of interest other than his same old brethren that is at the Radionic Association, which unfortunately seems to have done nothing from what I know of at this point. What are they doing? What are they producing? Well, it's the same old story when you contact them. No correspondence courses. They have their own little school. You join them, you get a newsletter, and that's it. You're not getting much. They have some sort of library. I don't know if that's online. You have to go there to learn anything. All these things make it very difficult. It's not like they've been in some, from what I can see from the photos I've seen of their gatherings and other things and who run those organizations, they're very old, tired people, and there is no new blood. And they really need to get some new blood. And of course, Franks is not one of them. He certainly isn't doing anything out there to, in any way, produce what already hasn't been done. Has already been done 50 years ago, which is more Malcolm Ray, more Bruce Copen cards, and it's the same story. And I frankly doubt he understands the inner workings of anything, because being an electronic person and producing musical instruments, or whatever he actually produced in terms of amplifiers, whatever, I don't know what he actually produced, equalizers, whatever the hell they could be, is not the same of producing a resonant energy field, tapping in for the informational energetic fields, the subtle energy physics of it all. I'm sure he has little to no knowledge of it. So, as usual, buyer beware, and until next time,